Morning, everyone. So here we stand between you and lunch, talking about nutrition. How about that? So a big part of member engagement that all of us as health plans have been focused on includes a bunch of wellness activities. We've heard a lot of it about over the last day and a half, right? And what are some of these pieces that we focus in on? So we focus on fitness, right? And it's now turning into everything wearable, right? It's no more the traditional stuff. It's how do I connect to your Fitbit? How do I connect to your iWatch? Whatever it may be, and creating reimbursements around them, right? In Massachusetts, all of the plans have fitness reimbursement included as part of the core health plan. It is actually an EHB benefit because it's part of the qualified health plan. So every plan offers anywhere from $150 to $400 or more dollars a year to members as fitness reimbursement. What's the adoption? Less than 10%. It's $150, $200, $400 of free giveaway, and still only 10% of the people actually submit and take that money, right? We've got areas around stress management. We've got lots of mindfulness programs. We've got coaching. One fundamental aspect with all of these are you've got to be ready to engage, right? Someone who is engaged in fitness and is going to the gym already is likely to submit for that $150 fitness reimbursement. If I'm not going to the gym, is the $150 going to make me go to the gym? No, right? The same thing happens on coaching. You may have the best programs available, but if I am a chronic, I am going to decide whether I'm going to engage with you or not. But when we put all of these programs together, what we're not addressing are an easy way for people who are healthy, who are not the users of the system, and how do we really get them together? And so Harvard Pilgrim started talking with the folks at NutriSavings a couple of years ago, and we developed a program called Eat Right Rewards. And what it focuses on is the fact that everyone has to eat, right? Generally speaking, 3 times a day, maybe more. Fewer people may eat less than 3 times a day, but you've got to eat. And if you've got to eat, most people are likely to shop, right? There may be some who are at the McDonald's every day, morning and evening, but that's not the general trend, right? So we're focused on how do we create that, and we've created incentives around that we'll talk about what we've done, what we've learned so far. So what are the challenges, right, when it comes to nutrition? From a health plan perspective, it becomes a question of, we all know we have an obesity epidemic as a country. What role can the health plan play? And from an engagement perspective, can we build a proactive engagement model with the member using nutrition, right? From an employer perspective, they know it impacts their cost. Can they do things that can have a different impact on cost, but also be able to see the value and return of that engagement with their employees? But from a consumer perspective, we have nutrition labels, right? But the consumers are going, I have no clue how to read that. You see people occasionally in the grocery store standing there and reading the label, right? But what are they looking for? We heard from consumer product goods marketing before. They've done enough research in understanding what we read, right? Which is why you'll see the low fat right there, big green, right? The green color and the low fat is supposed to indicate to you that it is healthy. But that's not when you try and correlate to the nutrition label, doesn't necessarily match up to where the true nutrition values are, right? So that's the journey we ended up going down the path of. Let me just pause and talk a little bit about who we are just to put things into context. So Harvard Pilgrim, we're a not-for-profit regional health plan here in New England, serve 4 New England states with over 1,000 employees. And we've been ranked top health plan in the country for a number of years. And we've done a lot in the wellness space in terms of trying different things. And I would put this program as one of our latest attempts as trying to do something different, learn from it, and see what sticks and what works with the members. We've partnered with NutriSavings. They've created an ecosystem of really the delivery side of the food pyramid. So they've connected with grocers, food manufacturers, and bringing those capabilities to employers and employees through the health plan. They've created a easy to understand nutrition scoring system, and created an incentive platform that makes it easy for people to create a variety of incentive programs around this. So they go out and they work with that ecosystem and source electronic coupons for $300 to $400 a year per member, right? So they're working with the grocery stores who want to provide discounts on their private label offerings. They go out and gather coupons that show up in your different mailers or the grocery store coupons from the manufacturers. But more importantly, what is different about the coupons that show up in your mailers versus the coupons that NutriSavings is able to get is we work with them on separating out the healthy coupons from the unhealthy coupons, right? How do you get General Mills to say, when you see the General Mills coupon for cereals, it will work on Trix as much as it'll work on Cheerios. Now you got to separate it out and say, no, we don't want it on Trix, we only want it on Cheerios, and creating that separation because those marketers are not separating it out based on nutritional value. So how does the program work? We work with employees to drive the employee engagement because at the end of the day, it's the messaging that's going to drive the activation. But more importantly, we make those savings easy. We integrate into the member's sort of daily routine on shopping, and we'll go into a little more detail around how we do that. We empower the member with the ability to look up a single value score that tells them where the food falls. You know, we've got a scoring scale of a 0 to 100. 100 is good, 0 is bad, and it shows people what they're buying and how it rates. And we report it back to the member. Every shopping visit, we tell them, here's how you rated on your shopping cart, right? It's a immediate feedback loop that creates a very, very different conversation. So, anyone want to take a guess? So you've got two boxes here. Both say reduced fat. Which one should you buy? What is more nutritious? How different is the nutrition? Okay. They're both reduced fat because they both have less than 1 gram of trans fat. So they can both market as reduced fat. The difference is one's got sugars, the other doesn't. One is whole wheat, the other is not. One's got high fructose corn syrup. Those are the pieces that are in the details of that nutrition label, but they don't show up on your daily value count. And when most people look at it, you look at the daily value count, the first two categories are cholesterol and fat. You look at that, you see 0, you see 0.5. You're going to assume that that low reduced fat on the front ties to the message on the side, you're good. But the true difference in actual nutrition is fairly substantial, right? And the ability to provide this is really the key. So we've got the capability where with your mobile app, you just scan the barcode, it tells you the values, and it tells you what the alternative food is right? So it doesn't stop at, so if you scan the 10, it'll show you the 10 and it'll come up with, here are your other options that you can select from that might be more nutritious, right? So it's providing that immediate feedback loop. Different people shop differently. Some make lists, some do impulse. The mobile app provides the ability. If you're a planner, you can create your shopping cart, you can plan everything out, prepare in advance. We've got nutritious recipes available with their shopping list associated with them. If you're not a planner like me and you're an impulse shopper, when I'm in that ice cream aisle, because that's pronounced guilty pleasure, it's like, okay, I've learned zero fat ice cream may not necessarily be the best one, so I'll go around and scan the right ones. And when the grocery store stopped carrying the brand of ice cream that I'd figured out, now I'm going through that whole experience again to say, okay, what is the next best one? So how do the incentives work, right? How do we make it practical? So I talked about the e-coupons. So let's take an example here of a typical shopping cart. There are, you've got different values that have different scores, right? So obviously fresh fruit and veggies are always 100. So this is a shopping score with a trip of a score of 73, which is a pretty decent score, right? If the member has activated the coupons, they could be earning about $5 in coupons because there are items in here that have coupons associated with them. One of the latest things that we're doing is building in an incentive from Harvard Pilgrim. And actually, I'm pleased to say that you are the first audience to hear about this. We're actually rolling this out to our commercial market at a broker breakfast on Monday. So you're the first audience to hear about it. We're launching it 20%. We're doing a small pilot in 2 of our states where consumers who buy any food that's above a score of 60, we give them a 20% incentive to make those purchases up to $10 a month, right? So here are if you look at it, on a very simple shopping trip, they could earn up to $11 in rewards. And this is for doing the things that they would be doing. They're out there buying. We're informing them how to purchase healthy and incenting them on making those healthy purchases, right? And we're reinforcing that message by an email at the end of their shopping trip. So 2 days later, when I get this data, right, from the grocery store, so it works based on your grocery store loyalty cards. Doesn't matter whichever store you have, right? So we got Stop and Shop, Roche Brothers, Shaw's, so on and so forth. When you're scanning that grocery store card, that's what transmits the data around what that shopping cart was. NutriSavings takes that, applies the nutritional scoring, and 2 days later you get an email saying, your last shopping trip, here's the score on your shopping trip, here's how much money you earned on that shopping trip as an incentive. And you can get it transferred directly to your bank account. We toyed with the idea of should we create a gift card, all this other stuff, but you know what? Cash is king. Let it be there, it's sitting as cash, you decide when you want to transfer it into your bank account, no questions asked, just move the money over. Simple as that. Make it easy for consumers to do it. So at Harvard Pilgrim, we're a strong believer in experimenting on ourselves. We eat at our own restaurant first. So when we came up with the program, we launched it out to our employees in October of 2013. And we figured out the kinks. That's when we realized that when General Mills gave us that coupon, it was Cheerios and Trix. And NutriSavings went back and said, stop, we're going to separate it out. Trix won't show up, right? Because we only want to incent the healthy cereals, not the unhealthy ones. Having worked the kinks out, we then we saw what the adoption was from our employees, and then we started with the incentive. We created a program similar to the pilot that I just mentioned for our employee population. We saw how that got adopted. And we still saw significant challenges because at that point, we didn't have a mobile app. It was cumbersome. You know what? People don't want to log into their computer to do a planning, but they're carrying their phone around. That's how people manage their shopping lists now. So we invested in and created a mobile app, and that drove a significant amount of adoption. And based on those learnings, in October of last year is when we actually rolled it out to our commercial population. So all of our members have access to e-coupons. They can opt in. An employer can design their own incentive program. Then we've got employers starting to do that. And then this year, over the summer, we had a lot of requests to say, you know what if I don't purchase at the grocery store? During the summer, we want to buy at the farmer's market. And so we've created a program where we tie it into that because there isn't a card there. And then starting the first of next month, we will be launching this incentive directly as a health plan on a pilot basis to our small group population, so that it's not an employer incentive, it's an incentive directly from the health plan to the members for purchasing healthy foods. It's been a great journey, and I'm going to turn it over to Niraj, who's going to talk a little bit about the actual results that we've seen as well.
So now that you have heard Pranav talk about the healthy eating, there is a common belief that we all eat. I mean, we all know that we all eat. So eating is a common thread that binds healthy population as well as unhealthy population. And I'm going to take a few slides to talk about the engagement model that we built and the results that we have gotten so far. But it's just a housekeeping item. We have also released a case study which is talking about some of these items. So if you would like to get a copy of the case study, just contact Paul. Paul, can you please stand up so they know who you are? Just contact Paul, so he has a copy of the case study. He'll be more than glad to share those details with you. So when we talk about engagement, I'd like to start with a personal story. It happened in late April, early May. I got a call from my teenage son. He's in Connecticut, and he was crying on the phone. So, Dad, I was playing soccer, and I hurt my right ankle so badly, it is swollen. I cannot put my socks on, I cannot put my shoes on, I cannot stand, and my nurse is worried it might be a fracture. So she wants me to get an X-ray done. Can you please find out from the health insurance which are the closest X-ray facilities? And I don't want to call mom because she will be anxious, rightfully so. And as I was listening to him, with every second of the conversation, my anxiety was going up, rightfully so, as parents. And I spoke with him for a couple of minutes. I hung up the phone. My immediate reaction was to call my health plan to find out the nearest X-ray facilities. And the lady on the phone was very nice. She was able to find X-ray facilities, so he was taken care of. But this is a situation that is not just particular to me. We all go through the same experiences, some sickness, some medical emergency in our family that creates a heightened sense of anxiety. And at that anxious moment, what do? We call the health plan. But when we are well, we don't call the health plan. Just like we think about God when we are when we are scared. Now, if a health plan gives me a message, rightful contractual obligation, hey, you owe some money, or this procedure is not covered, that one message creates a negative impression in my mind, which is completely opposite to the brand value proposition that health plan wants to build. A health plan wants to build a message of positivity and energy and well-being in consumers. But when you're talking to me when a heightened sense of anxiety, I'm not going to listen to that message at all because I'm so focused on my own family that doesn't cross my mind. So if we need to really help the health plan create a positive message in the community, we need to find moments in a subscriber's life when they're happy, when they're relaxed. We also need to find moments in consumers' family members' lives when they're happy and they're relaxed, so we can use that opportunity to have an emotional connect between the health plan's brand and the consumer perception of health plan. So there was an aha moment when I went through the whole experience. And at the same time, we were rolling out engagement strategy for our Pilgrim, Eat Right Rewards. And so you know what? That should be a first fundamental foundation stone of building any kind of engagement strategy. Unless we have those movements identified, everything else falls flat. So that's the first pillar of our engagement strategy. The second pillar is creating communication, relevant, personalized, actionable communication. We live in a day and age of Twitter. Everything has to be told in 140 characters or less. Or Vine, where 6-second videos are the most attention grabbing. So anything that I create communication, if I create 5 pages worth of communication, nobody's going to read that. So communication, which is actionable, very important. The third pillar is, how do I distribute the communication? If I was taking one of my clients out for dinner in Boston a few weeks ago, and I wanted to find a nice diner, and I couldn't find one. I finally looked at some of the places, and I found some nice restaurants. Now, I have never been to those restaurants. How do I know if they are really good or not? If a restaurant owner says, I am good, you know what? I'm not trusting that. But a mere stranger giving feedback on that, I somehow find it more trustworthy to me. The same thing applies for a health plan. We need to create ambassadors who can create a positive message in the community. A health plan saying, I'm the best, can only go so far. So we need to find the right distribution strategy for content. And last but not the least, we need to have digital connections with our consumers. Traditionally, when a health plan sells to an account, for a large employer, the relationship ends with the benefit administrator. For a small employer, the relationship usually ends with the broker. The last mile of relationship, which is the actual consumer or their family, that is usually does not exist. How many health plans do really have email addresses or cell phone numbers of their consumers? Spotty. Do we know if our consumers use Twitter or social media? I don't know that. So unless we build those digital connections, you cannot really do a meaningful engagement. So based on these 4 pillars, NutriSavings created this 5-step process for creating behavioral analytics model for engaging. And everything that members do either on the website, as Pranav mentioned, or on the mobile app is logged, tracked, so we can do behavioral analytics on that. So I will take a few minutes to kind of walk through that. Some of the things are pretty simple. Like step 1 is, of course, doing age demographic segmentation, which we all know how it works. Second is creating personas. A single mom shopping behavior is very different from a family of 2 or family of 4 versus solo. Now imagine if I have a diabetic population, and I know based on the shopping behavior that they are very frugal shoppers. So that means unless there is a discount on low sugar items, they are not going to buy them. Imagine the scenario if that diabetic risk population goes to a diabetic counselor and they coach them, hey, you know what, you should eat healthy food and less sugar. I'm going to say, yeah, I understand that. Go to the grocery store, there is no discount available, I'm not going to buy that. So there's the immediate gap between what is prescribed and what is actually done. So we can create personas to actually track the actual change of behavior at the grocery store. And then based on that, we can create traits on what traits they are showing and why are they showing those traits. And based on all of those things, identify the right tools to communicate with right people. Otherwise, a great message using the wrong tool, message gets lost. And last but not the least, as I mentioned, we are trying to engage audience in their happy moments, not in the anxious moments. So how can we inject an element of fun? So we inject an element of fun through gamification. What is gamification? Not everybody likes to play competitive sports. Somebody likes competitive sports. Somebody likes cooperative sports. And some people say, you know what, I don't care about sports. I just want to improve myself. I don't want to compete with my team, my coworkers. So there are different kind of games that we can introduce at an employer level to engage different kind of audience. And the end result is to actually have a meaningful, engaged audience. So what you heard so far is all well and good, but how do we make it real? If I'm talking to thousands of employers, I can't go there, every single employer, and give this half an hour session to them. So the way we made real at our Pilgrim, we created a launch checklist, a 3-page document that we trained the entire sales team on. This is just one sample of a launch checklist. So what the launch checklist does is a salesperson sits down with the benefit administrator who is in the process of rolling out E-Type reward and say, okay, what all things would you think you can afford to do in your company? For example, when I'm working with a integrated health system, they cannot put posters because of infection control. So that means my engagement strategy has to adapt, assuming there will be no posters. If I'm talking to a manufacturing company, a manufacturing company usually, number one, are male dominated. Number two, they don't have email addresses for their employees. But almost every employee has a cell phone. So the engagement strategy over there has to be different. So the salesperson sits down with the benefit administrator to fill out a 3-page document that gives us a clear indication on how can we adapt this engagement strategy to account 1 versus account 2. Similarly, we have seen several high-tech companies, they have got employee intranet, employee portals, and they want to create monthly content being pushed on the portal. So that means you need to create an editorial calendar that synchronizes with the kind of discount we are offering for that month. So these are some examples on how it changes its shape and form per account, so that it is a lot more real for every account. It's not one size fits all. So all of this is great. But ultimately, what are the results we are talking of? So when we rolled out this strategy in late April, early May, the first indicator we wanted to focus on was, are we going to see an increase in uptake? That's a wishful thinking, right? So this is a graph what you're seeing. On the leftmost side, bottommost side, we are seeing when we rolled it out in October 2013 for only the HPHC employees. In October 2014, as you heard Pranav, it got rolled out to the commercial population, backed with traditional marketing activities like print, radio ads, online ads, broker communication. We saw a steady jump in that. In late April, early May, we rolled out this whole digital engagement strategy that I talked about, and you can see the impact. Since we rolled out this digital engagement strategy for the last 6 months, the number of people signing up every month has tripled consistently. So that means we are going in the right direction. We have come a long way, but there's still a long way ahead of us to cover the entire population. The second was, are people really remembering to scan their loyalty card so we can track their shopping behavior? And we are seeing 2 data points here. One, I've got a highly engaged female audience. Males, sorry, don't care. So the second data point is, for the male subscriber, we need to identify a mechanism to reach out to their spouses so we can have them engaged as well. So this is the data point that we got. The next one was, as Pranav mentioned, are people really making informed shopping behavior changes when they're at the grocery store? And the way we are tracking it is the utilization of the mobile phone when they are doing the shopping. So they can scan the barcode of any food item and see is it healthy or not. So we have seen a huge jump in terms of the female population using the mobile to do the grocery shopping. The next metric was, are we making healthy shopping affordable? This is a pretty interesting graph. On the topmost line you are seeing is for Massachusetts. You see in October 2013, a lot of people signed up to use these healthy savings, and it dropped significantly. Why? We had the right message. We did not have the right content delivery strategy. We didn't have the mobile app. We are forcing people to come back to the website over and over again. And in June, we launched the mobile app, and since then you can see it going up. Same message, different content delivery strategy. And last but not the least, we are trying to introduce a positive behavior change in eating habits. And the way we can track positive behavior change in eating habits is by tracking the average shopping score change over time. For the entire population that is using Eat-Right rewards today, we have seen 5% improvement over the last 18 months. We feel pretty good about that because usually behavior change studies take several years, and we have been able to see the behavior change in just much shorter window of time. I'm going to leave with the last one small message, that whether you are a health plan or you are a health system or you're an employer, you have wellness strategy in place, which is great. Only thing you need to think about is how many moments does this wellness strategy provide you to connect with your audience. If you're having HRA risk assessment, you get 1 or 2 moments to engage with the audience. If you're having your device and wearables, you may be walking 3 times, 4 times a week, so you have got maybe 300 moments annually that you can capture. With eating, you have 1200 moments or more where you can build a positive, long-lasting relationship with your consumers. Thank you.